What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA. Yeah, running it from my phone again. YouTube keeps trashing all my videos. I'm not sure why that is. But I think hopefully I figured out how to get these videos uploaded and everything is good. So I just wanted to go over some of my thoughts about Celebration Day 1, what we heard, what we're going to see going forward with the various series and films that are coming out, and how that's going to work with Star Wars. A lot of people were excited. I'm kind of like, man, I don't know if you guys have figured this thing out yet. I was hoping that they came out and said, you know what, we figured a lot of stuff out and we know exactly where we're going to go in this new direction. And we guarantee you fans will be getting exactly what it is that you've been looking for from this franchise. And I got like more of the same vibes, right? Like, yeah, we'll have a good show here and there. Absolutely looking forward to Andor season 2. Got a chance to hear from the cast, the crew of Andor and how they work together. And that kind of collaboration, it has me excited, especially when you have a good writer like Tony Gilroy at the helm of it, just writing a great story. You guys know how I feel about Andor, best Star Wars since Empire. So I'm excited about that. But everything else is just kind of like a wait and see type of situation. I did like that they brought out the skeleton crew, and I'm gonna get to the films in a minute. That's the main thing. But I did like the fact that they brought out the skeleton crew information, so we got more information about it. We saw a brief kind of behind the scenes trailer of it. It looks all right. Okay. They say it has kind of a Goonies vibe, and I kind of got that feeling that okay, it's going to be like the Goonies in with Star Wars, so that's cool. And definitely, the kid actors, I know T hates kid actors, but they didn't seem like they were that annoying. Okay. It seemed like they were going to be all right. So I like the fact that they came out with the skeleton crew and gave us some information there. I did love how Ahsoka, I think that one's going to come together to be okay. All right. We're still waiting to see who's playing Thrawn. Maybe we find out tomorrow at the Ahsoka panel who's actually playing Thrawn. A lot of us have been hoping for Lars Mickelson. He's the obvious choice. The guy that did the voice for the original Thrawn on Rebels. And so I hope that they drag that guy out there as a surprise to everybody and say, finally, okay, good. We're going to get like a good version of Thrawn. Lars Mickelson is an amazing actor. So I expect him to take up that spot. But nevertheless, it still looks like it's going to be a solid series. Dave Filoni, for better or for worse, whatever you want to say about the guy, he seems like he understands this corner of the universe because he wrote it. He wrote Rebels. And so if you liked Rebels and if you enjoyed what Rebels was, I think you will probably enjoy Ahsoka. It seems like it's a natural next step, basically finishing out that storyline for Rebels. So, all right, we'll see what happens with that. What else did they talk about? Oh, okay. So, the Mando crew came out, and I'll have more to say on Mando in just a moment. But there was kind of a noticeable, when the Mando folks came out there, like nobody seemed that energetic about those guys. I mean, yeah, there was a general applause, the polite applause, hey, but like this season of The Mandalorian is just such a nothing burger. It's such a disaster. Okay, these guys came out on stage and you could like literally see everybody was just kind of like, where's the like roar of applause that we got on the previous celebrations? It's not there. All right. It's really not there. And I think that this all again falls at the feet of Jon Favreau and the way that this particular show came together. The whole Lizzo, this is the video that got taken down, me talking about that. The whole Lizzo, Jack Black, Christopher Lloyd thing. Look, this thing has just become like a sitcom, right? Like a straight up sitcom. Okay, that's how it feels to me. Like, how sitcoms used to have like a guest of the week, and it's like, oh, your special guest starring Jack Black this week or whatever. That's what this felt like. Okay, this felt like straight up sitcom territory. All right, and the whole episode 6, played out like that. Now, I'll get into some parts of episode 7. I'm not going to spoil it, but definitely episode 7 seems to be a step up from what we have come to expect from Mando. Okay, definitely a lot better. They're getting to the story that we've been wanting them to tell. And it's like, why did it take you 6 episodes? Well, I guess like, again, pieces and parts here and there, but it's like, hey man, just condense this thing into one big episode and we're good. So Mando was interesting. They brought out Indiana Jones guy. Obviously, James Mangold was there to discuss his film, but he was also there to talk about Indiana Jones. They showed us about 6 or 7 minutes of the middle of that movie, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I was like, okay, it's Indiana Jones action. It's what you would expect from an Indiana Jones film. But really, to me, the biggest things about Indiana Jones is not just so much, his daring do, but who he is and what he stands for. And I'm not getting that from this from this particular version of Indiana Jones. I'm not getting Raiders Indy. It feels like I'm getting like old man Indy that's just tired and doesn't want to do this shit anymore. That's what I'm getting out of this. And then they had some line in there about capitalism or something in the trailer, I think. And it was just like, or it wasn't in, I can't remember if it was in the trailer or if it was in the 6 minute spot. It's just dumb stuff, man. Just quit throwing politics, quit throwing isms in your shows and your movies. All right, just make content. All right, you'll be so much better off for that. But yeah, I get it. This is the current era where we're at, and people always want to have something to say about it. So yeah, again, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. I'm like, we'll see what happens. I'm shrugging my shoulders to that. They didn't go into Visions. I guess that's because it's not live stuff, so they really didn't get into Visions. I'm interested in Visions. Season 1, I enjoyed that. But they didn't really talk about it in season 2. And there is a panel coming up, so there'll be more information for that. But they didn't talk about it in the Lucasfilm panel. What am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything. But let's go ahead and get into these 3 movies that are coming out. The first of all, the big one, at least the one that I think has some promise, is the James Mangold, 25,000 years ago, the very first Jedi, whoever, the first person that uses the Force. I think there's potential there, but there's also a potential for disaster in that if they explain it or over-explain the Force too much, I think that thing could go all the way left. It can be completely crap. But if they just kind of say, hey, we're just doing a central story about a central person, okay, one Jedi, and make that an interesting character, okay, give us depth on that character, and don't try to get to like, okay, here's the technical ways that they learned how to use the Force or whatever. It's just like go into, hey man, they figured the Force out, they figured this stuff out, they started using it, they got into some issues and troubles and things of that along the way. Maybe there was another person, a rival, that was also learning to use it, and that's how you get Jedi Sith. I don't know, but there's a way to do that story that can work. And if they do it right, it could be awesome. If they do it wrong, it'll be a complete turd. So I'm hoping that they do it right. Obviously, as a major Star Wars fan, I'm hoping that they can figure this thing out. So yeah, James Mangold is doing that. I was hoping to hear that Tony Gilroy was doing something like, please keep Tony on stage and talk about his next project. But unfortunately not. The next one was Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni coming together, okay, to basically culminate the Mando verse, as you will say, in a movie is something that people kind of expected. I think that that's smart, okay? However, the way everything has just been going off the rails lately, I don't know. Book of Boba Fett, that was crap. This season of Mando, total nonsense. All right, so now you're talking about, okay, what are they gonna do next? The writing has to be there for this thing, all right? If you're talking about bringing in Thrawn, which they obviously are, as the major big bad for this thing, the writing absolutely has to be there. They need to go and get those Andor writers. Hey, guys, come here. You're going to be working with us for the next couple of years getting this thing together, okay? This is huge for Dave Filoni. It's going to be a feature film. He's never directed a feature film before. So how much trust do you have in this situation? Who knows? This to me, besides the James Mangold stuff, this is make or break for Star Wars, okay? And Filoni is the guy that sat under the tutelage of George Lucas the longest, and you hope and pray that he gets it right, okay? Just get it right. Make an awesome Star Wars movie, just one movie. Don't try to make it into a trilogy. Just make it one solid movie that, the Thrawn trilogy, whatever you want to throw in there, Heir to the Empire, they were mentioning it. I don't forget where they mentioned it. I heard them mentioning it. I think it was in the Ahsoka trailer. Nailed it. If they nail it, it's great. All right. But yeah, and I think that's exactly where they're going, because even Filoni mentioned it's like, yeah, there's all this great, awesome stuff in the expanded universe that we never really used and touched. And so, yeah, we're going to bring that stuff forward. And it's like, again, why didn't you do that to begin with? All right. You had the blueprint already. It was an easy call, but they decided, oh, we're going to let everybody make their own crap. And look where that's led you. Okay. Absolutely nowhere. You screwed it up. You bungled it big time. So Filoni shepherding that, I'm cautiously optimistic. Let me just say it that way. I'm cautiously optimistic. We'll know more after we see Ahsoka. Okay, I think Ahsoka is supposed to drop this year. I think they showed August, and this year August. That's when Ahsoka is dropping. Okay, so that's cool. If Ahsoka works out, I think that regenerates the hype for that corner of the universe. Okay, now we got things going. All right. The way that Mando is going right now, this all over the place crap, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. It's all over the place. It's not good. All right. But yeah, let me just kind of touch on a couple of things. You can see the little timeline right there. Dawn of the Jedi, the Old Republic, High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, Reign of the Empire, Age of Rebellion, New Republic, Rise of the First Order, and then the New Jedi Order. They're going to finish this off with Rey as the New Jedi Order. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one, and I'll get to that in a minute as well. I wouldn't hold my breath because I have a feeling that there's a possibility that that thing does not happen. All right. But it says the Star Wars timeline is expanding. At Star Wars Celebration 2023, Lucasfilm confirmed 2 far-reaching eras are coming to a cinematic Star Wars universe, stretching out 25,000 years before the events of the current climactic timeline or cinematic timeline and further into an indefinite future. Lucasfilm laid out the timeline in Marvel's cinematic universe fashion. Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, what are they doing? Some MCU crap for an easy guide to when new Star Wars stories will be taking place, but not when they'll come out. I think that's really like low-key kind of smart. Okay, here's what we got, but we're not going to say anything about their release dates, because if we start releasing, so, oh, this is coming out in 2027, that's what Marvel would do, right? This is coming out in 2025, 27, 29. Everybody's looking forward to it. And then when you have to slowly scrap all of those projects because they're not working out the way you want them to, you look stupid, okay? At least with this, you keep it open-ended, So again, it's typical Lucasfilm. Again, I'll believe it when I see it. I truly believe that the first 2 are going to happen, okay? Because I think they're happy with Mangold. I think they know Filoni is going to kind of wrap this thing up. But yeah, everything else after that is a big question mark. Dawn of the Jedi will act as the earliest stage of Star Wars and will be explored with James Mangold. The untitled Star Wars movie from Mango will be a biblical epic about the emergence of the Force in The First Jedi in a setting no less than 25,000 years before the events of the original movie trilogy. I mean, it could be good. Again, like I said, it could be good. It could be awesome. It could be trash, It just depends on how James Mango, does it. I mean, he hasn't let me down so far. I have to be honest. Walk the line, Walk the Line, love Logan, love Ford versus Ferrari, okay? This guy understands how to make good movies. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, that's going to be a tough one for me to just give the old rubber stamp to, because my favorite film of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it's going to be hard for me to just be like, all right, yeah, it was fine. No. I'm going to be very hard on it. And if it sucks, I'm going to call it out. And even if it's okay, I'm probably going to call it out and say, y'all shouldn't have made this movie. But James Mangold hasn't let me down. So, despite all of his stupid social media commentary and attacking fans and everything, okay, let's see what the movie is. And then if the movie sucks, James, you're going to hear from it, okay? You're going to hear about it. So, yeah, that's going to be kind of interesting. They probably should have went Knights of the Old Republic, right? Like, why go all the way back to The First Jedi? Again, it could be good, but yeah, I think Knights of the Old Republic probably would have been better. Oh, shit. Fucking Acolyte. I forgot about that. It's a forgettable show. I'm not really interested in it, but I know that that's coming out next year. Yeah, one of the the major things that they were talking about went pew right past me, okay, because I'm just not interested in it. They brought the cast out, the cat from Squid Games. I thought it was kind of cool that, he's playing a Jedi, and that's fine, okay? He looks like he could be a Jedi, and I think he's like a Jedi master, just kind of talking and teaching cats. All right. We'll see. But, the Acolyte could have been great. I'm just not trusting Leslie Headland as a creator. I'm just not trusting that. So we'll see. Again, it's another we'll see. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, we'll call it out. All right. But everything else, starting and ending, let's go ahead and just discuss Rey and Daisy Ridley right now. Yeah, so I was just sitting there next to a whole bunch of cats getting geeked out over Rey coming back. Hey, love what you love. I don't have a problem with that. The sequel trilogy, and let me say this: Ray is a character that is hampered by poor, number one, poor writing. Okay, very poor writing, and then number two, Lucasfilm, maybe the creators or Lucasfilm as a whole, just not understanding the meaning and the importance of the legacy characters and what they meant to the health of the franchise. I don't think they understood what Luke, Han, and Leia meant to the franchise. And because of that, they create this like kind of nothing burger of a character in Rey, who's just a giant Mary Sue. Oh, she's just got force powers and she's just overpowered. And there she is. There you go. Everybody was getting geeked out. You can see right there, they're going to bring her back. And I've already stated what I think they should do with this character. If you're going to bring him back, you got to bring her back the right way. You got to really do a whole lot of work with the character. I doubt they're going to do that because they're talking about her leading the next generation of Jedi or building the temple back or whatever, Oh, she's going to reestablish the Jedi Order. I don't see that being something that most people are going to be okay with. I'm not okay with it, but nevertheless, we'll see. I mean, I got to give it a shot. I give everything a fair chance. But just seeing where they have gone, you got to start thinking, okay, who is this character to them? All right. Besides some merchandising ploy, that was the other problem, okay, is that because the merchandising sales of the sequel trilogy were so bad, they have to rehabilitate this character in some way, shape, or form so they can tap back into the original, or excuse me, into the sequel trilogy. This is something that I heard everybody, when I was walking through Celebration, I'm hearing everybody saying the same things. They're going to prequelize this particular character. They're going to fix the character like they did with the prequels. Like the prequels, the Clone Wars is what they were saying. The Clone Wars kind of fixes and, satisfies fans of the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. Okay, we feel a little bit better about how the prequels came out based on what they did in the Clone Wars, okay? And I hear everybody saying, yeah, they're going to prequelize the sequel trilogy by using this particular character, Rey, to kind of fix everything that went wrong with the writing, with this particular character, and how everything hung out. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't think they can do it, in my opinion. I think if you're going to use Rey, you got to just, hey, hit the reset switch. We're starting over from scratch. We're just going to go in a completely different direction with this character. Like I said, I would turn her dark. All right. I would turn her dark and make it, just okay, she's a, borderline evil character, but she needs to be redeemed. All right. And the character that needs to work is not Rey, it's Finn, from the sequel trilogy. There's still potential with Finn. I think Rey, as far as, the character that can really galvanize Star Wars fans, I think that's a cold wrap. Okay. And it's been a wrap for a while. I don't think that she's going to be able to do what they want to do with this particular character, but we'll have to see. So that's the last film in the 3-film trilogy that they're going to be, or the 3 films that they're bringing out from Star Wars in the next few years. I don't know when this is coming out, and be honest with you, if it gets canceled, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because out of the 3, this seems like the shakiest one. All right, this seems like the shakiest one. Yeah, they dragged Daisy Ridley back, and she was on stage. But this absolutely seems like the shakiest of those 3 films. So we'll have to see. But again, Star Wars is not in a good place at all. All right, and nothing in this particular event gave me any hope. Oh man, they're getting it right. I think that there's a couple of things that could be done well, but kind of like a 3 steps back process right now. Especially with Mando being so shaky. It's kind of 3 steps back right now, okay? They're taking some humongous steps back, and we didn't hear anything about Kathleen announcing her retirement. Although it seemed like people on stage were trying to give her flowers, I was noticing as, people were coming up, people were reaching out and giving her a big hug and everything, and I was like, I mean, maybe they know something I don't know. Maybe they say, hey, this might be my last celebration with you, Kathy. Let me give you a hug. That would be nice. But, we'll have to see what happens. So let's talk about The Mandalorian real quick. They actually showed us the next episode, the one that doesn't come out till next week on Wednesday. Okay, episode 7. So as expected, the story is actually starting to pick up, and it's starting to get to what we all expected it to be. So it's like, what the hell was the first 6 episodes for, right? They really could have condensed all the important stuff into one episode. I've already said this. And, they would have been just fine. But they decided to go off on all of these little stupid trails that just make absolutely no sense. Again, this is me directly talking to the folks over there at Lucasfilm, especially Jon Favreau. You need to streamline this story. This story is too all over the place. As you see, fans are backlashing. Okay, fans are like, yo, this isn't a good show anymore. All right. And they explain why. It's not really Favreau that explains it either. It's actually Filoni. But I'm going to read to you. Oh, crap. Hold up. I'm going to read to you. Why is this thing happening? No, close. All right. Trying to do this on my phone, folks. I'm going to read to you what he said, okay? You can read it you can see for yourself what he's saying, all right? So it says, Empire reports Filoni as talking about how The Mandalorian Season 3 is about reflecting different points of view in the galaxy, and that Star Wars is made by creators, each with their own point of view. Okay, I want you guys to remember what I said on the last video where I was discussing what the problem was with Mando is that it didn't happen, or excuse me, Star Wars is that there's no overarching vision. There's not one person with one vision. You're hearing Filoni basically say that, okay? He's basically said, oh, it's like, oh, this person's vision, that person's vision. It's like all over the place. All right. And if you have something like that, that's all over the freaking place in terms of what the vision is for this particular show, just the show, one individual show, not to mention the entire damn franchise. All right. The whole fucking franchise is all over the place. But we're just talking about one show. All right. And one show is all over the place. This is like a microcosm of what's wrong with Star Wars right now. OK, these guys, I mean, they might all be talented creators. I'm not going to make that judgment. You judge that for yourself. I have my own opinion. But what I will say is you need an absolute, you need a vision. You need one guy saying, this is where we're going. We're going down this direction. We're not going here. We're going here. Okay. This is where we're at. We're going over here. And this is what Star Wars is. Okay. You need somebody to do that. And they used to have it as, of course, George Lucas, the original creator, of course, of the whole damn franchise. They need to find somebody that has his vision and then say, listen, we're going to be far better off going in one direction versus going in a whole bunch of different directions. And then you can see like this following thing where Rick Famuyiwa says, talking about the lead character played by Pedro Pascal, asking, who are we even talking about? In terms of a character, right? Like, who is the Mandalorian in this series? Is it Bo-Katan? Is that who we're really talking about in terms of the Mandalorian? It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, I personally don't have issues with these individual people as people. I'm just talking about their character, okay? Or their storytelling. I'm just talking about the storytelling that these guys are giving us, and it's terrible, okay? As storytellers, this thing is all over the place, and the fan backlash is 100% justified, all right? Star Wars has always been a single-minded vision from one creator, all right? And you can have a whole bunch of different creatives in the process. That's absolutely a thing, okay? You can have a bunch of different creatives throwing in their 2 cents and everything like that. It's like Tony Gilroy. I'm going to go right back to that. I'm going to go right back to that because I already discussed it on the previous video. Tony Gilroy said it perfectly. Hey, we have an umbrella of filmmakers. All of these guys are filmmakers. All of these guys make films, okay? But he's the head honcho of all of these guys. So everybody's feeding ideas into him, and he is like changing and morphing and, reorganizing things, in an organic way that makes the entire series work, okay? He's taking this idea, that idea, but he's like, okay, this is like the overarching umbrella of it all, and you're bringing in all of these different ideas, and we're going into different directions with it, and that's fine. All right. But what you can't do is just go all off the beaten path and just start doing your own thing because you all have your own point of view. All right. I know point of view storytelling is a thing in Star Wars, but it's not working out in Mando. And that's one of the biggest reasons why this show is absolutely flopping and failing all over the place. Although I'll say, I keep it real. Episode 7 is solid. It's a solid episode. It's probably should be episode 2 of the season. I mean, that's how I feel about it. It should be episode 2 of the season instead of episode 7 because now we only got one episode left. And it's just what a bunch of nonsense, man. I swear to God. Yeah, and I like this other headline from Polygon. Why Thrawn is still a big deal for Star Wars because he's like the last thing they got left. He's like the last good character they haven't brought to live action, and they know they need him to be solid. They know this character is one that a lot of fans love, it's just so amazing that these guys never dipped into the EU until they gotten themselves into a whole lot of trouble. It's like, oh shit, let's go get the EU stuff and let's bring that all in, you know? And it's like, yeah, Thrawn, obviously one of the biggest, most important characters right now for them. So we'll see how they do with it. But I thought that was funny. It's like, oh, why is he such a big deal? Because he is. Because he's like the only thing that they really can hang their hat on in terms of what Star Wars can be. And it's, you know, it's talking about, if you're not up on the wider Stan movie canon, you know, it gives you like a brief little rundown of Thrawn being the heir to the Empire, all of that stuff. Look at that, 1991 novel, man. This thing has been around forever and a day, and they haven't created new stuff that can overtake this or be equal to it. You know, they just haven't, you know, as far as a villain is concerned. They tried with Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren could have been a good villain, but they decided to nerf him and turn him into a chump. You know, even though I don't mind his character as much as I would mind it in other situations, but I mean, you know, they had to build Rey up, so they had to kind of nerf who Kylo Ren should have been to Rey. You know, anyway, I already talked about Rey. I'm not going to go into that any further than that. But yeah, Thrawn in this next movie with Dave Filoni is huge, huge, huge. You got a villain that if you nail it, okay, this can be, in my opinion, the thing that can save the Star Wars brand. All right, if Dave Filoni nails this movie, and that's a big ask for Dave. Okay, he hasn't directed a film before, and I'm sure he's going to be getting help from everybody around him, Favs included. But if he nails this movie and he does a great job, we're talking about, you know, okay, we got it. All right, we got it. All right, we're back. You know, they could really bring Star Wars back to prominence. But I have my doubts. I have my doubts about that. It says here the original trilogy of novels was decanonized when Disney bought the Star Wars franchise. Thrawn was reintroduced in Rebels, a series of new novels by Zahn. Also good. You know, I have those books. They're also good. I wouldn't say they're better than the originals, but they're fine. And then basically it said, rather than treading the same ground as its original trilogy, which took place in a period that is now covered by the sequel trilogy, Zahn's latest Thrawn novels tell about how he came to be. Yeah, basically how he rose through the ranks and all of that. It's a good book. It's a good book. His new trilogy, I think it's a trilogy. Yeah, it's a trilogy. It's still pretty solid. So they talk about Rebels here and basically where Thrawn was last seen in the current timeline. Basically, you know, in the Rebels, Ezra Bridger, they go taking off with the little space whales into who knows where, you know, unknown regions, and that's where they're going to be going. Okay, we'll see what happens. But again, this is huge. This is probably, to me, the biggest piece of Star Wars this weekend, or at least on Friday, is that they need to nail this down to the wall. If they don't, this thing's a wrap, okay? I don't think that if they don't get this Thrawn stuff right and wrap up this whole Mandoverse stuff in a nice, neat package, I think it's a wrap, man. I think Star Wars is going to die on the vine right then and there. It'll still have its fans, okay? But it'll be no different than any other franchise that's out there, all right? It won't be what it was or what it could have been. And that's a sad state for me, for somebody that's been a Star Wars fan my entire life. That would be sad if Star Wars just completely dies because of crappy, terrible writing and lack of direction and, you know, just, you know, overall poor leadership at the head of Lucasfilm with Kathleen Kennedy. Anyway, folks, that's it for me. I'm about to get some rest because I'm exhausted. You guys tell me what you think about everything that you saw and you heard from. Did you see any trailers? Did you hear any other news? You guys go ahead, jump down in the comments. Give me your thoughts and your opinions on that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.